Good afternoon. Today is Monday, September 27th. It is 5 p.m. We're here for the regular trustee meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have an agenda before us. Are there any changes or additions? If none, do we have a motion to approve as presented?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for the September 27th, 2021 meeting as presented.
Second, sorry.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
Trustee Kurtz?
Yes.
I move to accept the general ledger report in the amount of $394,056.85 for September 22nd, 2021 payroll.
Second.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Kurtz?
I'm sorry, is it 85 cents or 55 cents?
I had 85 cents.
Okay, all right. So, yes.
I make a motion to approve the payments listing report in the amount of $378,546.30 for warrants through September 27th, 2021.
Second.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
Trustee Kurtz?
Yes. And we have minutes that were circulated for the regular trustee meeting on September 13th, 2021. Are there any changes or additions? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Hearing no additions or corrections, I move to adopt the minutes for the September 13th, 2021 regular trustee meeting as presented.
Second.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Kurtz?
Yes. And at this time, we have, we open the podium up to any citizens desiring to speak. Seeing none, we'll close that session and move on to our pre-scheduled speaker, Greene County Agencies for Combined Enforcement, ACE Task Force.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Hang. Appreciate the Board of Trustees having me here tonight from Beavercreek Township. I started this position back in June 1st of this year. I spent 22 years with the FBI prior to my position here, and my prior position before getting here, I was the Assistant Chief and Deputy Public Safety Director at Xavier University. And then, as I said, I took this position on back in June 1st of this year. What I'm here tonight is just to introduce myself. I know not a lot of people have met me yet since I've just taken over. I'm trying to make some changes with the ACE Task Force. Good, bringing additional resources, bringing, I guess, a different outlook for the task force. So I want to begin. So as you know, the mission of the task force is to help Greene County and the law enforcement agencies. We provide a service of investigating multi-felony investigation from organized crime to drug trafficking and any other, basically any crimes that we can help out with as a task force. What we bring is pretty much a force multiplier in bringing resources to the Greene County community to investigate a lot of the crimes. We also provide assistance to Greene County for training, any other specially needed technical surveillances or whatever that the agencies may need. But the last thing is what we bring is to educate the community in what we do, and then to educate and inform the community of all what's going on in regards to drug crimes and any other crimes that are occurring within the county. It's just a better engagement with the community for us. The funding for the task force currently, as all other task forces in the state of Ohio, we're funded through these grants. The Edwin Byron Memorial Justice Assistant Program, grant program, which is known as JAG, the Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Grant, and the Recovery Ohio Law Enforcement Grant, which we just received. And this latest one is Project Safe Neighborhood, which is basically what it does is the Department of Justice provides funding to various communities to help reduce gun violence, crimes, gangs, and everything else. And it also provides what we're supposed to do is community engagement to help out the communities, and especially like the school-age children, to kind of educate them about gun violence and drugs and everything else, and to kind of stay away from it, to kind of keep them away from that kind of element. But what we've learned recently through a lot of these fundings, the state has decreased a lot of the fundings. Just a lot of it is just due to revenues that the state's trying to generate, especially where most of our funding we utilize for operational uses, for confidential fundings, which we use for drug buys and other operation expenses for the task force, is the Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Grant. That this year reduced by 36%, and that's due to because of the whole COVID-19 situation. So that fund is generated through revenues from the State Highway Patrol, or through tickets issued for speeding tickets and everything else. Since they were not able to generate any income last year, that fund reduced, and it really hurt a lot of the task forces, including ours. What we're hoping is to find other means to fund the task force. A lot of the task force do good for the community and the counties that they investigate, and that they help other law enforcement. But without that funding, the task force can't exist currently. So as I said, what does the funding, the grant fundings fund? Basically, the administrative salaries. Currently, for us, it funds myself and my operational supervisor. We're both commissioned through the Greene County Sheriff's Office. It also funds the confidential funding, which funds all the operational expenses from evidence buys, from drugs to anything else, guns, and also to pay individuals that are helping the task force out with information about the community, which that's where we're trying to generate a lot of the information. That's how we build our investigation and cases, and that's similar to any other agencies that are doing the same thing. A lot of that pays for equipment for the task force, from computers to vehicles that the task force utilizes for operation, and any other equipment that we use for surveillance equipment, cameras, and things such like of that sort. We do training. It pays for training for all the task force members. So a lot of our task force members have to go through the Narcotics Association association training for, it's called NARCO for the state. So a lot of the onboard new detectives that come on from the different agencies have to go through this training. What it does is it provides them skill sets and everything, how to operate in an environment where they have to conduct undercover operations. So it's good for them to go through that. And then there's also other trainings that we have to go through throughout the state, or anything that would help increase our knowledge, or for the detectives, increase their knowledge, or a new set of skills for the detectives on the task force. It pays for traveling, like most of the travelings are in-state training that we have conferences within the state, or if there's something that may come up that may be suited to help out the task force detectives to increase their skill set, we may look at that. That's maybe one state over or something. And that funding pays for consultant contracting fees, which I haven't seen much for this task force. And then any other miscellaneous expenses, which basically is supplies, office supplies and stuff like that, and any other expenses that we may have that are minuscule. The grant funding training, like I said, it's been reducing throughout the state of Ohio. It not only impacts us, it's impacting a lot of the other task forces. And then without this grant funding, basically the task forces would be non-existent out there. We wouldn't be able to help the other law enforcement agencies in the counties, or we wouldn't be able to help the community itself to resolve crimes that occur in the county or in the communities that are in the townships. So, solution is the $1 million question for all task force members. What do we do? There's some things that we're looking at. I myself have volunteered for the legislative committee for the Ohio Task Force Commanders Association board. So I'm helping them find ways with the legislative committees to kind of look at new ways to kind of seek out funding for the state. And we're working on that to increase our funding, but that's going to take some time because we're just, you know, at the initial stage of that. The grant funding current right now, it's not going. Oops, sorry. I don't want to click too much. It keeps going backwards. Okay. So what I'm here tonight to ask for from the trustee, the Beavercreek Township trustee, is that we're requesting some fundings for our task force. We're looking for $32,000 for a purchase of a low visibility vehicle that we can utilize for surveillance or putting individuals to identify locations in the communities that we can utilize without being noticed. What I'm kind of particularly looking at is basically a minivan that you can put someone in, or we can drive around without being noticed, or someone noticing that it's a law enforcement vehicle. The other thing that we're looking at, because our IT network is due this year in November for an upgrade in firmware and everything, we're looking at about $6,000 in that, just because of the software and some of the equipment that's, so the IT equipment is on a 3-year contract, and that 3-year contract, from what I understand, is due in November. So in essence, I'm looking at $38,000 for the task force. If the trustees would be obliged to help us out with that. I guess with that, that's all I have. If you guys have any questions for me.
Thank you for the presentation. So we've had a couple presentations in the past from your task force, and so I think we understand as far as the value you bring to the region, not just obviously the township, and what happens in the region can occur in the township, and what happens in the township bleeds over to the rest of the region. It's a regional issue or problems that you're solving, so I think we understand that. A couple years ago, I know, Alex, we had extended an offer to the previous director, I think, that we would look to consider putting a budget line item in for some support as far as some ongoing or recurring support. And we have essentially a police fund or that we allocate to the sheriff's department. And so I didn't know if there's, from a budget standpoint, number one, is there any, do we anticipate any carryover or any carryover or surplus in the police fund as far as what we budgeted for 2021? And then, because I don't recall if we put something in the budget as far as from the general fund as far as financial support for ACE.
So we initially were going to take, and it went through an evolution. We had a local business who was willing to donate a dog, which then we would hire another deputy through the sheriff's office, specialize in dog handling, and then we were going to make the deputy sheriff and the dog available to the task force. In the meantime, the task force got another dog from another agency here in Greene County, so that is not a need. So we were going to move forward with that. We're kind of holding off until the local business and then the task force with working with another agency to move through those kind of ideas. Since then, obviously, the task force has their own dog now. The local business owner did not donate a dog, so we don't need another deputy sheriff that would specialize in that. So what was asked at the budget meeting is the amount that would have been set aside in the police fund, we actually left in contingencies because we didn't know the long-term, obviously there'd be a long-term cost of hiring another deputy, plus the overtime for training and making it available for overtime cost to the task force. So we do have money in the police fund that is available to assist the task force this year, or potentially next year, or some this year and some next year, whatever the board's pleasure is. Obviously, we did hear that immediate need is November this year, so there could be some funds this year and some funds budgeted next year, or all of it this year, which would be essentially just taking it from the contingency line item where we left the money for the overall plan of either giving money to the task force or another deputy with a dog. So that was just left in contingency. So we can simply put it in a line item for the task force.
Okay. And I guess from other members of the board, so appreciate the direct request. Sometimes it's unclear what people are asking for. It's very clear what you're asking for, so thank you.
Well, I have an accounting background in finance, so.
I'm part of your brain. But I don't know if it would be reasonable to, from a board standpoint, if we asked the administrator to maybe, from a timing perspective, if we could take between now and the next meeting,
Yeah.
To assess just from a budget standpoint where we're at, rather than making off the cuff. We have an obligation to taxpayers of Beavercreek Township to make sure we're spending those dollars accordingly and make sure that we have the front line covered from the sheriff's office standpoint. And then secondly, obviously, you're the umbrella over kind of the whole thing in many ways. So we want to make sure, I think there's a genuine, at least the board in the past has expressed a genuine interest in supporting your department.
Appreciate it.
Financially, not just with a letter. So I think it'd be prudent to just have the administrator kind of go through our budget and make sure that whatever, I think the intent, at least a couple of years ago, was if we could set something up where it was a recurring commitment, it wasn't just a one-time,
Right.
Band-aid type situation. So if that's agreeable to the board, then maybe we just direct the administrator to take a look at that with the fiscal officer, determine where we sit for the rest of the year, what we can look as far as anything anticipated for next year that we may be a deferred cost that we're not thinking of, and then between now and the next meeting, then come back at the next meeting with an offer. And, if you're available, we'd invite you back to that. If not, it wouldn't change our opinion. So as far as how we move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have some prepared for the next meeting for the board.
Is that reasonable to you?
Yes, that's reasonable.
It wasn't a no.
Just, and also the board passing several meetings ago, the opioid resolution to be a part of the lawsuit. We've already opened conversations not only with the ACE task force, but with the sheriff's office. That'll be an additional resource if we get the money. We don't know the full amount. There's an estimate. They did take the entire population of the township. That's why we are receiving, if you look at the initial numbers, we're receiving more money than the city of Beavercreek. So we've also said that we would probably have a joint meeting with Beavercreek Police, Greene County Sheriff's Office, and the ACE task force about how we're going to use that money in regards to interdiction efforts. And there are some other pilot programs that are being discussed at the county level, so that we can take a look at next year as well.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll also throw out, if you guys, if your citizens have any questions, like in the future about anything regarding what we do or anything in regards to the county about drugs or anything like that, let me know. I'll be happy to do a presentation or something.
Yeah, some
Great.
of our homeowners associations have been.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have no old business. As far as new business, we have the, Mr. Zariff, if you want to take it from there.
Thank you, Board. Page 9 of your packet is a proclamation for the recognizing October as the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As in the past, there's some language change from the previous years. I have the proclamation, 2 copies, one for us and one to be given out at the event. I did put literature in your mail. There is a candlelight vigil on October 4th at 6 p.m. at the Green. So all of you, all 4 of you, or some of you can make that to present that. That'd be great. But let me know. If not, I can try to attend as well. So you can pass it as presented, just 2 copies to sign.
To adopt resolution number 20210927-admin-E, proclamation to recognize October as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, as presented.
Second.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Trustee Kretz.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item's on page 11. I also provided some supplement information from the Beavercreek Wetlands Association. There's a resolution for support of a grant application. There's no financial commitment from the township. This is related to the Spotted Turtle Trail. There is a piece missing that is not either owned by the Beavercreek Wetlands, ODNR, Beavercreek Township, City of Beavercreek, Greene County Commissioners, Greene County Park District. They would need access to complete the trail in the next phase. They've had some discussion with the property owner about potentially deeding some land or provide an easement. There wasn't much interest in that, but they did follow up with a potential grant that would land lease the piece that they would need for a period of time. The Wetlands is just asking for a resolution of support so they can apply for the grant. It is due by the end of the month, and I believe I have 2 copies as well of that one as well. If not, just one's fine. I'll make a copy for us.
Okay.
And you can pass it as presented.
I'd like to make a motion to pass resolution number 202-10927-admin-F, authorizing support and authorization for the Beavercreek Wetlands Association wetland restoration and grant application as presented.
Second.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Kretz.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 13 in your packet is the biweekly report from the Sheriff's Office. Sergeant Moore's here, as well as Major Prawl, to answer any questions for you.
I have no questions on the bi-weekly. I just, in the spirit of Family Violence Prevention Center's proclamation and their candlelight vigil, just a shout out to the Sheriff's Department for their proactive and reactive support and help in a couple of recent situations. So I have 3 sisters that were victims of domestic violence, and I personally appreciate what your department did for one of my employees. Thank you.
I had no question for Sergeant Moore.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 30 of your packet is the biweekly report for HR. Are there any questions?
I had no questions, but I see that your list is getting longer there, Trish, on things that you were doing.
It's been a busy couple weeks.
It looks like it.
Questions?
I have nothing additional. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Board. Next item's on page 33 of your packet is the biweekly report for the Community Development and Risk Department. Are there any questions?
I'll be up later. Not friendly.
Do we have the problems that we had with the fencing around the pool in one of the neighborhoods? Is that all resolved now? Is there a fence around there and everything?
Yeah, I think we've updated everybody on all of their offenses appropriately. We may have one issue that's still outstanding, but it's still pool under construction, if I'm not mistaken, so.
So we were able to get all that done without going to a court type situation?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Great.
Any other questions?
I have none.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Board. Next item's on page 42 of your packet is the biweekly IT report. Are there any questions?
I had none.
I had none.
I don't have any.
Thank you, Board.
As far, from an IT standpoint, just as far as from a service level standpoint, internal customers are still satisfied and or happy? Okay.
Good.
And from a continuing relationship standpoint, remind us, what was the term of that agreement that we signed with Paragon?
3-year agreement with automatic increases for the 3 years of the agreement. And staff is meeting, I believe, next week or the week after to start the budget process for IT needs for 2022.
For CAP, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, good, okay. Thank you. Roads?
Thank you, Board. First item is on page 45 of your packet. This is a grant application and giving me the authorization to apply for 2 different grants. There are 3 grants that are currently available that we are seeking funding through. One through ODOT, which are just for townships, and then there's 2 through Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. One is a 100% grant, and the other is a 80-20 grant. Budget justification starts. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed crack seal.
I don't know if they sealed up themselves.
Yeah. I'm just so excited about the grants. I went to the grants. First item is a purchase request for crack seal. Budget justification starts on page 45 with a motion. Tim's here to answer any questions.
I don't know, maybe Tim laid hands on them.
We're doing crack seal.
Crack seal.
There's no questions. There's a motion on page 45.
So we're purchasing the sealant, we're applying it ourselves, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yep, okay.
I make a motion to approve purchase request 21-road-0288 to DJL Material and Supply Inc. for 22,500 pounds of Crafco sealant in the amount of $13,500, and to authorize the township administrator to sign for the board.
Second.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Trustee Kretz.
Yes.
Now the grant on page 46. This is a resolution that gives me the authorization to apply for the grants. It could be both. It could be one. It could be none, depending on the scoring and if we meet the requirements. So we are in a tight time frame for the grant. Staff's been working with the county engineer as well as Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. There are 2 copies of the resolution there, so one will be for us and one we can send to Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. And then we'll be working on the applications. Mr. Parks is here to answer any questions. And there, if not, there's a motion on page 46.
I would like to just thank Mr. Parks and Mr. Zaharieff on moving fast on this this money that's available from MVRPC. It's a timely grant application process, and they move quickly, and if you're slow, it doesn't happen. So I appreciate staff from being on top of it and getting this grant application in. So are there any other questions or comments?
Currently, the resolution in front of you is for the big picture, which would be redoing Orchard, Yellowbrook, and Factory. We might have to come back next meeting and turn in with our application a draft, because there might be some things as far as ADA compliance we're not gonna be able to get done by next Thursday. But we're still trying to work through those details, just so that what's in front of you tonight is the big picture, which is what we really like to do with all 3 of those roads. Because as the write-up says, I think it will enhance that area with the 35 project and the Shakertown project,
And there's
Great.
a not exceed amount in the resolution.
I make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the submittal of applications for the FAST Act funds through Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission as presented.
Second.
Trustee Wallace?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Kretz?
Yes.
I also failed to mention, and we're also working with ODOT on those grants as well. There's some question on the ADA compliance of what we would need to put in by next Thursday. So we're working with ODOT as well, District 8. So staff's working pretty quick to get this accomplished. Thank you, Board. The next item is on page 50 is the biweekly report for the road department. Are there any questions?
I just had one question. Are we gonna have a wrap-up meeting regarding the cemetery, or go out and look at the grid? How's that? The gridding is done, is that correct, Mr. Parks?
That is correct. I actually have it laying behind me on my desk. There's a couple more pieces that we'd like to get in place before we come to the board.
Okay.
And actually that meeting happens a week from Friday to look at some alternatives for continuing funding, shall we say. But currently, we are not selling anything at this time.
Staff will be making a recommendation to Mr. Rushing, who will make a presentation to the Board of Township Trustees on the direction that we need to go to with the cemetery.
Great. It's just been a while, it's taken a long time because of COVID,
Yeah.
and it's kind of nice to see this starting to wrap up then.
Mr. Rushing and staff and I did walk it, and I want to thank Tim's staff because they laid it out to actually see what we saw in the report compared to what is actually out there. And, keep in mind that this was a cemetery that we inherited back in that was started in the 1800s. We went back and looked at all the areas and had some options, and we'll have some recommendations to Mr. Rushing.
When you bring that, I don't know if you have the data or if you can bring that data with you when you come, as far as, was there any significant or material impact with COVID as far as the number of burials that we had? Compare, as far as if we do a 10-year look back and say we should project forward for the next 10 years of how many graves we would need. If you have anything there, just as far as if that created a spike or not, in some areas of the country it did. So. Good.
Yeah, it actually varies year to year.
Right.
This year, burial-wise, we are down compared to, and I should never say this because that's all we'll do for the next 2 months. We're down slightly compared to past years. And the trends in the industry are actually changing more to a cremation model instead of the full burial. So that's some of the stuff we're pursuing now, so that we can get with Mr. Rushing and make a good recommendation on where we go from here.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 51 of your packet is a proclamation for the Fire Prevention Week. We did post, and I did send out through an email calendar invite the Trio Truck and joint open house for Prevention Week, which is going to be Saturday, October 2nd, between 10 and 1 o'clock here, and of course down at the city garage for the Trio Truck, and we'll have equipment down there as well. So there's no other questions. There is a motion, or you can present it as presented with the motion number on page 51. Did you want to add anything?
No, it's Fire Prevention Week open house first before the tri-truck. We're more important than the tri.
It's on page 51.
51.
Yep.
Just that shows the proclamation for Fire Prevention Week with the motion number. our resolution number. Apologize.
I think it's on a different
I think
page.
it's on 56.
Yeah.
You can click through. You can
Oh,
click
there
through
Oh,
it.
page 51, you can click on it. or it-
51 just has a number.
Yeah.
Or she's got the,
Okay. I make a motion to adopt proclamation number 2021-0927-fire-A, proclamation recognizing Fire Prevention Week, 2021.
second,
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
yes.
Trustee Kretz.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is on page 52, which is the biweekly report. The fire chief's here to answer any questions.
Question?
I have no questions from the chief.
I had a question.
You have a question?
Yep. I was just wondering, I know you have your numbers on here, in, this time last year. What are the numbers in regards to 2 years ago when, pre-COVID, where are we at, as far as the difference in the numbers now versus pre-COVID? Oh, so obviously last year the numbers are slightly skewed from a typical year.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't run the numbers, but just looking approximately at the graph, I want to say last year we were down 8 to 10% about this time, and we're 8% over where we were last year. So we're actually, we're down more than that at this point. We're probably down about 4 or 5% from the prior year, which would have been the first year before COVID. But that was an exceptionally high year. So we're actually probably in line with the year before that. So if we go back, 2020 being the year of COVID, 2019 was an abnormally high year. We're probably more in line with 2018 numbers at this point. So it's been kind of an odd set of years. But I'll run those specifically so we can take a better look for the next meeting. Because because of the differences over these past 3 years, it doesn't give us the normal sort of look back that we would anticipate seeing.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief?
Thank you, Board.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board. That's all I have.
Ms. Frick?
Nothing today.
Mr. Rushing?
I have nothing further, thank you.
MVRPC?
I held the first meeting of the ISC on Friday. They're all members of the committee were present, and we're moving forward on the diversity employee that will head up that function of MVRPC. So I'll keep you posted.
TAC?
No report.
Greene County Regional Planning, the Executive Committee last week. The full commission meets tomorrow evening, I believe. Yep, tomorrow evening, Tuesday, September 28th, 7 p.m. And you can go in through Zoom if desired. The only thing on the agenda that's Beavercreek Township related is River West, essentially, for the development on Shepherd Road, across from Bexley. And there was a recommendation for approval from the executive committee, so that'll be presented to the full commission tomorrow night. Health Department?
Next meeting is the first Thursday of October, so I will have something for next meeting.
Great. Schools?
No meeting with the schools. My meeting with the city manager is on Wednesday.
Restoration Advisory Board?
No meeting.
Township Association?
We have a meeting on October 12th at 6:30 at the library, Xenia Library.
And Investment Oversight, I had nothing to report unless Mr. Rushing had something new.
I have nothing to report, thank you.
All right, then we're gonna continue, or we're gonna?
We'll just take a recess till
Adjourn.
6:30 for the
Yep.
public hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
We're bring a public hearing notice, Beavercreek Township Trustees for Zoning Commission case number 824. We'll hold a public hearing in the community room lower level of Fire Station 61 located at 2195 Dayton Senior Road, scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. The purpose of the hearing is so the commission may review and act on application from Artisans Communities LLC with approval of the property owners Kerwin Blue LLC and Kerwin Yellow LLC for approval of specific site plan application for a residential subdivision. The proposed subdivision is to be located on newly created 55.95 acre parcel within the Stonehill Village Master Plan community on the north side of Dayton Senior Road, east of the intersection with Trayvine Road. This section of Stonehill Village has been approved by the township for residential development. I'd like to put this into the minutes. Due to a potential conflict of interest, Trustee Kretz is recusing himself in zoning case number 824. And we're ready for staff comments.
All right, thank you, board. This is Max McConnell, the Associate Economic and Zoning Administrator, joining you via Teams. I'll start by reading our staff report. Just a quick introduction. The applicant in this case is Artisan Communities LLC. The applicant submitted a site plan for approval pursuant to Article 17.07 of the Township Zoning Resolution. The site plan is for a community to be known as the Courtyards. It'll be located within Stonehill Village PUD. The location is within Zone 2 of the PUD, which according to its resolution allows for a density of up to 3 to 4 dwelling units per acre as maximum. Development will be on 55.95 acres with 162 proposed residences. This results in a calculated density of 2.89 units an acre, which is within that acceptable maximum for Zone 2. A new parcel will be created for this development, combining parts of these three parcels listed into a currently undetermined parcel number. It's not yet been created yet. The owners of said parcels have provided affidavits allowing Artisan Communities to apply for the site plan approval on their behalf, and said parcels are identified for residential development in the township's comprehensive land use plan. Site plan application met the standards of completeness in Article 17.07.5 of the resolution, which is something that we look at as we go into the initial zoning commission meeting. So just a little bit of initial context. Artisan Communities and their civil engineer, Kinley Horn, have been working pretty closely with staff and other Greene County agencies to make sure that the site plan is driven by input from the community. So we've had multiple meetings. The plan has evolved and now actually includes a second ingress-egress point as part of what is required from our standards. Additionally, plans are altered to provide sufficient drainage capacity and the ability to maintain that infrastructure in the future. So staff found the applicant to be very collaborative and cooperative. They worked very well together with us. They worked well with any suggestions from the Greene County engineer. And when the trustees approve a site plan, development must then go through the subdivision approval process with Greene County Regional Planning. During that multi-phase process, various county agencies provide official recommendations which may necessitate changes to the site plan approved by the trustees. Site plans can be approved with conditions that require subdivision approval by Greene County Regional Planning, which provides kind of another layer of scrutiny to ensure that development occurs in a way that works for everyone. I have a couple of specific concerns that we like to look at with developments, and we'll just talk a little bit about them. Density and open space is usually something that we make sure is in line with township priorities, and so the Courtyards location within Zone 2, again, the density up to 3 to 4 dwelling units an acre. We said earlier that the calculated density is 2.89 units an acre, so it's within that. Of that 55.95 acres, 27.41 is lot space. The rest is either right-of-way or common open space. So this results in well above the limits that are set forth in the Stowe Hill Village PUD resolution for open space, which basically states that the open space area for the entire PUD shall be no less than 10%. We're very comfortable with the existing and this proposed that this does not press up against that limit. So we like to talk about ingress and egress and traffic. Developer and staff did meet with Greene County Engineer Stephanie Goff and her traffic consultant Paul Goodhue. During that meeting, the ingress and egress was reviewed, and the current site plan actually reflects those results. There's a right-in, right-out access point at Citation Way, and that was a direct result of compromises made by the developer to make sure their development would meet county subdivision regulations and our fire code. Several options were considered. This was the one favored by the county engineer, the right-in, right-out. In considering the future stub streets to the north and east, at Calumet Way and Walnut Hill Circle provide future connectivity to planned residential developments. The meandering curved street configuration discourages the kind of cut-through traffic that we sometimes worry about, and will contribute to safer neighborhoods overall. The proposed walking and biking paths, which kind of encircle development, also will reduce conflict between vehicular and pedestrian traffic. So we're very happy with the the traffic and pedestrian situation on the plans. The last area we want to talk about is drainage and other infrastructure. So the development site requires significant drainage and retention infrastructure due to the natural topography of the area. There are 3 proposed wet basins and an associated network of drainage pipes that will work together to funnel that stormwater into the southwestern corner of the development, where it will drain appropriately out. In order to accommodate the storm pipes, there are 2 small common open spaces that staff requested behind several lots. We'll show you in the plans a little bit later. This was just done to make sure that maintenance on those pipes could be done safely per OSHA standards. As such, the rear yard setbacks in those lots are reduced a bit from what we would normally specify to accommodate that open space. Because the development's covenants prohibit any kind of deck or pool or really any kind of improvement to the rear yard, we're not worried about any kind of conflict that a reduced setback might typically bring. So we are good with this solution. The traditional utilities of gas, water, sewer, and electric are each represented in the county subdivision approval process. So representatives from those utilities give their feedback during that process and will ensure that the various lines being dug will meet their standards. So preliminary reviews by county sanitary engineering suggest that service for water and sewer will continue from distribution lines that service neighboring developments, and staff is confident that all basic utility needs for the development will be met pending final subdivision approval. All that to say that staff does recommend the approval of the proposed specific site plan after working together. We believe this is a good configuration. So, to the best of our knowledge, the site plan meets all criteria for approval outlined in Article 17.07.4 of the zoning resolution. Future engineering will be completed in conjunction with Greene County Regional Planning. So there will be tweaks to this plan almost certainly as it moves through the subdivision process. So staff has a series of recommended conditions that we'd like you to place on the approval that will both ensure that it is built correctly and it includes all the reviews from those agencies, but also that any changes that are required as part of that process don't require the applicant to come back and have zoning approve those changes after regional planning does. So I'll just read these quick recommended conditions. Number 1, final approval is subject to the approval of the Greene County Regional Planning Coordinating Commission. The site plan's final engineering shall meet all Greene County subdivision regulations. Number 2, any modifications to the proposed site plan resulting from final engineering during that subdivision approval process shall be considered incidental modifications as outlined in Article 17.11.4 created the township zoning resolution, which basically means that they will not require a zoning commission hearing to be implemented. Number 3, the recorded site plan filed with Green County Regional Planning and Coordinating Commission, also known as the record plan, shall serve as the revised site plan in the event of any incidental modifications made due to changes requested during the county subdivision approval process. And 4, final approval is subject to approval by any agency or entity with review authority. Thank you for listening to our staff report. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Max. Any other comments by staff? Okay. And we're going to open this up to the public portion of the hearing. Anyone that wants to speak can speak for 3 minutes. And at that point, your time will be timed and asked to stop. So anybody?
Before the public, if you want to hear from the applicant first as part of the staff.
That's a good idea.
So the
I
applicant
knew there
can
was,
come up.
I knew
Yeah.
there was some
Yeah.
comment.
Yeah.
Please have the applicant speak to us.
Sure. Well, thank you, everyone, and we appreciate the trustees' consideration of our application this evening and time. My name is Seth Barrett. I'm a partner with Artisan Communities. My partner, Dan Armbruster, here as well with Artisan Communities, and Mike Reeves with Kimley Horn. He is our civil engineer on the project. So as staff alluded to, we really appreciate the coordination throughout the past couple months in getting to the site plan that is on the application today. We are really excited to be part of the Beavercreek Township and Stonehill Village community. Have had a great working relationship with Mr. and Mrs. Nutter on the project so far, and developing a very nice solution that you see on the screen. We think it'll be a great residential neighborhood, a unique offering with our EPCON community project. That will really create some uniqueness that's not part of Stonehill Village today, so we're very excited about that as well. And again, just look forward to further collaboration and can answer any questions that you may have. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the developers? Mr. Nutter?
Hi, Robert Nutter, 925 Hilltop Road, Beavercreek Township. Actually, I'd want to thank these folks for being a part of Stonehill Village, because I think they're what the product that they have will add a lot to our community. And have one correction to the record, that out of deference to my father, one of the portions of the acreage, approximately 14 plus or minus, has now been named RM Blue and White LLC. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other developer comments? Okay, then we will go to our public portion of the hearing. Anybody that wants to speak, please give your name and address, and feel free to come up and talk to us. Any opposed or for the project? Seeing no participants, we'll close this part of the public portion of the hearing, and we'll go into discussions by the board. Do you have any questions?
Can you bring up the GSI map, like where you can see?
I'm sorry,
The county GIS?
the county GIS? Okay, give me just a moment if you don't mind.
Where it fits into the rest of it?
Sure.
It's right across from Claiborne Green's entrance there.
Mhm.
We'll bring it up on the GIS.
Let me see. No, that won't do it. Just Green County GIS.
It's just nice to see, where it fits in with everything else.
Get you there.
Map server, right?
Oh, sorry, I go to the map server. Get rid of these here quick, so we have a better screen. Whoa. I don't want to, can I select the lot now, or this is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It will expand out though. There you go.
So essentially from where you see the street coming across,
You can come up
that
here.
tree line, it's everything south of that tree line.
Oh, here, let me center it up here. There you go.
This tree line here along the north, to the power line easements, that cars back, and then it follows the old estate entryway, and then up to this portion, so it's kind of a trapezoidal shape there.
Thank you.
Max, do you by any chance have the aerial in your file that we had shared previously?
Not that one. Right? Okay.
There's a separate one that might provide a little better.
Unfortunately, being at home, I don't have
Okay.
quite the access I normally would. I don't think I'd be able to pull that up.
Okay, thank you. So you can see the tree line is across the north,
Yeah.
the landscaping plan there, and then currently the two existing barns and the existing house are generally in this zone of the property, and then just off you can start to see the entry drive up to Mr. Nutter's estate there.
Leave that
Thank
picture. I had some questions to Mr. Barrett. If you would take the microphone, please. I just wanted to comment, I always like Kettering, Lincoln Park, because it seemed like a really planned community. And I wanted to tell you, I appreciate the fact of this planned community here. I mean, I don't know if the citizens are aware, but there's plans for a clubhouse, a pickleball, putting green, a bocce court, a pool deck, community garden, benches looking at the plants and the trees, and a walkway around the community.
Sure.
I think this is a really good start for Beavercreek. We don't have, I mean, Stonehill Village has some of that,
Yeah.
but this goes into much more intensity.
Sure.
And I think it's gonna be a great community living space. Is this for any age group, or is it for 55 and over, or?
It's for any age group. However, our communities are age targeted, so typically our buyers could be an empty nester, could be. It is open to any age group, but the design of the community and the way that the homes are constructed within are age targeted to more empty nester.
And I know that we're not discussing this at this point, but I'd just like to get a feel, if you
Sure.
don't mind. A 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, what's the
Two
concept?
bedroom with an optional third and some floor plans, basically. There are two specific types of units. One of the things that makes our project really unique is we have what's called a P-series model, and there's 3 homes within that model that range in various square footage, kind of small, medium, large. That model has what's called a side courtyard. So your living space, your outdoor courtyard, that amenity of your home is on the side of the house, and it's kind of a little niche. And it's a little bit like a puzzle piece, and it kind of fits together with all the other homes. And so that you have a lot of privacy in that living area, and there's a lot of windows for natural light. So that will be one of the models, the P-series, that we will be constructing. The other one is called an R-series, and the R really stands for a rear patio, which is a little bit more traditional. And traditionally, most of the community is predominantly P-series, but it also depends upon certain things like view corridors, what is behind the home lot. So if you have a really nice amenity, a water feature, or woods or something, a home buyer might look at that and say, I really want to have a rear patio so I can take advantage of that natural amenity. So we're going to offer both, and it'll be interesting to see kind of what each of the homeowners select. But traditionally, a majority of the community ends up being a side courtyard, and then the remaining is a rear courtyard. But that's usually location specific, depending upon adjacent context and everything. But
And I'm
does that
assuming-
help?
It does
Okay,
help.
okay.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
And I'm assuming no basement?
No basements. No, we're not.
Two-car garage, though.
Two-car garage, correct. It's kind of a 2+, so a little bit wider, so there's a little bit of space for things like shelving, or you don't need a lawnmower, but, any other type, maybe you wouldn't need a snow blower either, but there's extra storage capacity, I should say, in the garages.
Okay. Any other questions?
Are these homes ones that are taking, like, you maintain the yard and take care of that? I think you said there's no snow blower or lawnmower, so.
That's correct.
Yeah,
That would be
make noise.
taken care of by the homeowners association. So there will be a homeowners association that's specifically for our community, which will be under the umbrella of the larger Stonehill Association. So there will actually be two different associations in this situation. But there will be one specifically for our community. The streets in this instance are public streets, so the streets would be obviously part of Beavercreek Township, but the driveways and things like that would be a separate, privately per the homeowners association.
But you would maintain flower beds, lawns, and
Correct,
stuff.
yeah, that would be part of the landscaping and everything with the homeowners association, correct? Yep,
It sounds exciting.
yeah.
And no, you said no pools, no.
There is a pool.
There will be a
Well,
community
there.
pool.
Community.
But as far as in the backyard.
No community, no pools in the backyard or any of that as far as the covenants and the restrictions go, so. But yes, there will be a community pool with the clubhouse, and you can see it on the plan there near the other amenities up at the front for the community use. So the residents, the 162 residents at our communities will have kind of exclusive use of that pool, basically. It wouldn't be open to the larger Stonehill community, just as a point of clarification. And we've had discussions with Mr. and Mrs. Nutter about that as far as the larger community, so.
So I think it looks like it's going to be exciting for our community.
We hope so, yeah. We believe that to be the case, and have had a really good reception so far. And everyone that we've brought from our EPCON team here and kind of reviewed the market has been very excited by the potential of Stonehill Village in this location. So I think they definitely see that there's a there's a niche here, I think, for this type of community. So.
I wish you the best.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other
Thank you so much.
questions? Or no?
I believe that answered all mine.
Okay.
I see the walking paths and, so that,
Yep.
No playground, so that's nice.
yeah.
No, that's.
So yeah, it's fun because we don't have anything like that currently, and so
Sure.
I think that'll draw a lot of people that are the empty nesters and people that want to scale down on their homes.
Yes.
I think this is going to provide a great asset to Beavercreek Township.
Okay, great.
Do you have, sorry,
Oh,
one more.
Sure.
Do you have
No.
a price point of, you can't ask that?
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're
Mr.
welcome,
Barrett.
thank you.
Can I say one thing, Mrs. Wallace?
Sure.
Again, I'm Dan Armbruster, and as you can tell by my gray hair, I've been doing this for a long time. I've probably been in over 100 communities, getting various things from Walgreens to Wendy's to Tim Hortons to residential to whatever, and I would just like to compliment everyone here in the township. It's been one of the best experiences that I've had in my, 45-year career. So all the way from the day I walked in here and met Max, all the way through the meetings we've had with Randy and everyone, it's just been, I'm not saying you folks are easy. You knew what you wanted, and you were firm about that, but you were fair. And as a developer, you can't expect any more than that. And I think that's why one of the reasons that we're so excited about being here, because I think there's going to be more good growth because of the way you approach it. And as you know, that's not happening everywhere. And there's a dire need for housing in this country for, you know, not only this segment, but all the way up and down the line. And so many communities today don't get that and don't really understand that it's really a two-way street. So would just like to thank you all for that.
I appreciate your comments because our staff was happy to work with you, and it's good to have a give and take. And you know, you can't have it all, but to compromise and have staff come back and say that you compromised and things seem to be going well with the communication flow. And we're very proud of our staff. So
Yeah,
thank you
you
very
should
much
be.
for those comments.
You should be.
Any other questions or comments?
I don't believe so.
All right, then
There's
We
a
have a
resolution there
resolution.
that with the recommendations of the zoning commission and also the staff recommendations. So that's right there if you want to read it. And we'll have to read the whole thing.
Okay. I make a motion to approve resolution number 20210927-ZC-A, a resolution to approve the site plan of the courtyards, a residential subdivision within the Stonehill Village Planned Unit Development Zone 2. Whereas the Beavercreek Township Zoning Commission held a public hearing on September 2nd, 2021, at which time any and all persons desiring to speak were heard, and whereas the Beavercreek Township Zoning Commission recommended approval of the proposed site plan for the courtyards as detailed in resolution number ZC-21-009, and whereas the Beavercreek Township Board of Trustees held a public hearing on September 27th, 2021, at which time any and all persons desiring to speak were heard. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Beavercreek Township, Greene County, Ohio favorably passed the above resolution as presented, approving the proposed site plan for the residential subdivision known as the Courtyards within Zone 2 of the Stonehill Village Planned Unit Development with the following conditions. 1, final approval is subject to the approval of the Greene County Regional Planning and Coordinating Commission. The site plan's final engineering shall meet all Greene County subdivision regulations. 2, any modifications to the proposed site plan resulting from final engineering during the county subdivision approval process shall be considered incidental modifications as outlined in Article 17-11-3 of the Township Zoning Resolution. 3, the recorded site plan filed with the Greene County Regional Planning and Coordinating Commission, also known as the record plan, shall serve as the revised site plan in the event of any incidental modifications made due to changes requested during the county subdivision approval process. 4, final approval is subject to approval by any agency or entity with review authority. Further be it resolved that all former actions of the Board of Trustees concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution are being adopted on a duly called and authorized open meeting of the Board of Trustees on the date set forth above. Such meeting being duly called pursuant to and in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I wish you the best of luck. I hope it goes well with you and your development, and I'm hoping that our citizens will be extremely happy with this project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hearing no other business for this commission, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Wallace.
Yes. We're adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.